And we are live. Greetings and salutations, Focus Up family. Welcome to the December 2nd, 2023 installment of the Focus Up Show. We thank you for tuning in with us live every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on YouTube and various other platforms, or catching up with us on replay. We ask that you click that like, that subscribe, that bell, and share to support and maintain your weekly Focus Up fix. I am Mr. Nice Guy. Nice as in the word Saint spelled backwards. And as usual, my co-host today, the lovely First Lady J. We got our guest Clayton Bigsby, our information minister. We got the infamous El Pooh, host of Spin That Back Hit Focus Up Show. We got Mr. Floyd X, the producer, and also shout out to Walk. Maybe Walk will make an appearance. The host of Sex Talk will Walk on Thursdays at 9 p.m. So first business before we get into Mr. Floyd X wants to talk about something.
Yes, I want to make a correction. On last week's show, we spoke about the death of the son of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and we mistakenly put up a picture of Louis Farrakhan Jr., who passed away in, I believe it was 2017. So this year, his son Joshua Farrakhan passed away. He was a beloved member in the Nation of Islam. And me being a former member of the Nation of Islam, we always looked up and admired all of Minister Farrakhan's son because they all were soldiering with their father. They all stood tall, still strong, still firm, and all of them were respectable men, honorable men. So we're going to want to give them a proper honor and saying rest in peace, rest in paradise to Joshua Farrakhan.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Rest in peace. And I'd also like to make a correction. We did refer to Joshua, but we also referred to the other son who actually did die. So the error that we made was conflating the two or combining the two situations. So
man,
yes.
You want me to clear this board and me and you go to bring the brother. We gonna make a correction. We gonna correct. We put the wrong picture up, brother, and we just gonna make it correct. We correcting the mistake. We made a mistake. End the story, brother.
I'm telling you what the mistake was, though. That's what I'm clarifying.
Nobody cares about the details. Nobody cares.
We care about it because, again, we did talk about Joshua, but that's not the point. First Lady Jay, how are you doing, sister?
I'm great, thank you. I'm great. I'm ready to jump on into the news stuff because I don't want the screen to get cleared to the
El Pooh,
what
it do?
This immediately.
Yeah, you know me, bro. Blessed and happy to be here once again.
Mr. Bigsby, what's going on with you, brother?
Hey, what's up? Tengo enfermo un poco. That means I'm a little sick in Spanish, but I'm here.
That's what's up. And Mr. Floyd X, boss man, you finished chewing us out? You finished chewing us out?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. I'm just thankful that we got Brother Omar on the show. I love when that brother come on the show. He gives a great perspective, and he comes from an intelligent approach where he calculated thoughts on it, and then he hones in on something that I probably didn't think about. I'd be like, love when that brother on the show. Thank you for coming to the show, Mr. Omar.
That's a little cap, though, but I accept it, though. I appreciate it. I gotta say
All right, let's get to what we have in the news. The first topic. Jean Knight, rest in peace. So Jean Knight, famous Stax record artist, her big number one song was Mr. Big Stuff. She actually worked at Stax Records when my mother and biological father worked there. And my mother used to tell me about how this song, Mr. Big Stuff, they didn't really take it as a serious song. They just wanted to test it out and put it out there. And I mean, it just blew up. So and it's a big song. It did well in that era, and then Heavy D, flipped it in our era, And we do a shout out and a rest in peace and our condolences to her family. Big Stacks legend. So shout out to Sister Jean Knight.
I want to speak on it real quick. As far as the Mr. Big Stuff song, it was like talking about the big wigs in the community, right? Mr. Big Stuff, the ones that's driving them Cadillacs and got the money, whether it's legal or illegal, we know what happens in the hood. But when Heavy D came with it, I'm your Mr. Big Stuff. Mr. Big, man, that was some beautiful stuff. I used to love that song. So I much respect to the lady, the sister, Jean Knight. May she rest in peace, 80 years old. She lived a good life, I believe. If you are successful, you just go around. Beautiful.
I want to say I'm thankful for this show because I didn't even know who sung the song. It's one of those songs that growing up. It was just like really just burned into my soul. It's so memorable, that refrain, Mr. Big Stuff. And then when I was reintroduced to it right through Heavy D, I don't know if that was Uptown kicking it or it came right after, but it reintroduced that soul sound again from Stack. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, let me also say this too. Y'all gotta remember, rest in peace, Eazy-E, Boys in the Hood. The very last part of it. Who do you think you are?
Boy, you got a good ear, man. Absolutely, yeah.
That's right. And if you're from LA, you know that you got the green and white sweatshirts from the swap meet, Mr. Big Stuff. I had one. My brother had one. We all had one of them shirts.
All right. Anything else you got to say about that? Want to move on to the next one?
Keep it rolling.
We moving on. We talking about this guy right here. Are we ready to get into that?
All right. So rest in peace to Jean Knight. This other person, I don't know. Henry Kissinger passes away.
Tell him what you said before the show.
You got the wrong. Okay.
Tell him what you said before the show.
I said, "What? Ding dong, the witch is dead."
Ding dong, the witch is dead. Come on, we don't. It's not proper to celebrate a man dying. It's not proper. We get that, but come on, man. When you carpet bomb a country that's a neutral country during the wartime, and you carpet bomb a country, killing thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, and you face no consequences for it. Come on, man. At some point, we got to celebrate something. At something, we got to say, you know what? Maybe he does deserve a little celebration in his death. Maybe. What y'all think?
What you got to say about this, Clayton Bigsby? This was a near and dear topic to you because I remember seeing your Facebook post saying that this is why you didn't believe in karma. So what you got to say about it?
Okay. There's many ways I could talk about this and approach this, but from the karma perspective, I think this is a great case study, an example of why karma is a myth, a cosmic notion that's based in religion, but also understand why Black people really long for karma or use or subscribe to it, because it comes out of a longing for justice, but it's an appeal to some supernatural cosmic justice. And it's very interesting because when you really examine the concept, how can you really detach it or divorce it from the dharmic religions like Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism? It's an integral part of those religions, and it's hooked into bigger ideas like reincarnation and all that type of stuff. We can't wait on intergenerational or reincarnation. We have to pursue justice in a more materialistic, historical, analytic framework, not appeal to religion. So that's kind of like my take on as far as karma. He lived to the ripe old age of 100. The people who he carpet bombed didn't live that long. The people who suffered from his genocidal policies, they didn't live to a happy old age. So how can we appeal to this thing of karma? I think it's a great example that there's no karma.
And on that note, this is competing there. He quoted a pope. There's a quote that he said something to the extent of, that sort of played on karma. Either God's, it's basically a karmic type of a point. And then it was the irony because of how it applies to him as a person that clearly this is a person that did a lot of wicked things. And he's either going to have a lot to do with it in the hereafter, or basically he just got away scot-free. So that's really it on that. Anybody else got something to say about Mr.
I got
Kissinger?
a question. What country did he carpet bomb? For those that don't know,
Cambodia. And let me since we
other
talking
countries is Laos as well, Vietnam,
yes.
other countries in Latin America too as well.
Yeah. Let me say a quote from Mr. Anthony Bourdain, may he rest in peace. He said, "Once you have been to Cambodia, you will never stop wanting to beat Henry Kissinger with your bare hands." And the reason he said that quote is because when you watch old movies and they show the atrocities of war, whether we talk about the Vietnam War, and you see a bunch of dismembered cripples and stuff like that, and people that was worn, torn, and destroyed, and they got bombs that it was like for decades after the war, they still had undetonated bombs that would drop but never exploded, and little kids that run out into the field years after the war step on these undetonated bombs and explode. So it was like for years after it didn't just wasn't during that wartime. It was for years and decades past that they were still reeling on it. And Henry Kissinger said himself, he said, "Look, when we started it was out there in front of everybody to see, and nobody complained, nobody had an uproar. They said, okay, they had a contingency plan. If an uproar happens, we're gonna go to the media and say, okay, let's get a consul there or somebody to document it and have a case or whatever." But he said nobody outcried, nobody spoke against it, so they just continued to do it. And then when he got a year after, he got a Nobel Peace Prize. And we know the Nobel Peace Prize is BS because Barack Obama got a Nobel Peace Prize for nothing. So he got a Nobel Peace Prize for, they said that, he helped the Vietnam Pact, which was supposed to end the war. But guess what? The war was still going on. So the war didn't end, but he got a Nobel Peace Prize. He even, let me slow down because I get emotional. He even volunteered to give the award back, but they refused to take it back. And two members on the Nobel Peace Prize committee resigned when they gave it to him. So it was a whole lot of controversy behind this guy getting a Peace Prize. So if you ever think that the Peace Prize is worth anything, you're wrong. The only person that I believe who really deserved it was Martin Luther King. That's it.
Hey, I have that quote. So this is what he said. He says, this was after hearing about the death of a Cardinal Richelieu. I'm probably destroying his name, but suffice it to say, he says, if there's a God, the Cardinal de whatever that person's name is will have much to answer for. And if not, well, he had a successful life.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Like that.
I want to, if I can push back just a little on that narrative of Henry Kissinger being a war criminal, which he is. But, in a lot of ways, he's made out, or he's like the fall guy for U.S. imperialism in the sense, like he represents a continuity, just he did things maybe above the law and below the law. But, some of these same things were done by his predecessors, like Andrew Jackson, Thomas Jefferson, and others, even if it was lawful or not lawful or didn't have international endorsement. It's still genocide. It's still, this continuity. U.S. foreign policy. What are you doing in Vietnam anyway? Why are you 6,000 miles away protecting our freedom, supposedly? That's the bigger context too that, that he just plays a big role in,
And sending our people to die over that. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of them.
We haven't even talked about the U.S. soldiers who lost their life for no reason because they just wanted to drag out the war because they refused to accept defeat. And when I say defeat, there's another quote. I don't remember exactly, but it went this way. A military has to win a war by winning a war. The guerrillas could win a war by not losing. So the guerrillas didn't lose because they didn't mind people dying and killing because they felt they was really fighting for something. So as long as they was around and they didn't lose or they just kept fighting, they basically won. So the Vietnam War is a war that America lost, but they don't want to say it.
Yeah. And Ho Chi Minh is my hero more so than Eisenhower or Kennedy or what's the guy from Texas, Johnson. That Ho Chi Minh was, he did a lot of overtures for Black people, created a lot of safe havens for Black people and support for our liberation struggle. So I support the Viet Cong more so than, the United States. And, they were resisting the same thing that we were resisting right here in the States at the same time. So
Coming next week on the Focus Up Show. Why was Ho Chi Minh such a great person?
For sure.
So anybody else got something to say about this one?
Yeah, I got one thing to say. Throughout history, beware of the pale face. Everywhere that he goes, he brings death and destruction. And nothing else.
Damn. Deep.
So what we have the next in the news topic is hood security. Did I say I was going to be setting that up? We talk about this. This is
great job so far.
Oh, I'm sorry. You got it.
Go ahead. You've been doing a great job.
Oh, okay. Sorry. This is a rapper. His name is Nardo, and he had a situation where I guess he was coming out at the back of a show, and a fan had saw him and was like, "Hey, can I come over there and get a selfie?" And as he started to approach him, two of Nardo's bodyguards, goons, homeboys, whatever, security, elected upon themselves to assault this cat. One guy sort of basically knocked him out on his feet, and while he's just sitting there, just helpless, the other dude just bashes him. And you're talking about, human beings naturally roll with punches, but when you're out and you're just sitting there, you're taking all of it, and he's suffering like brain bleeding. He's having some situations, and in Nardo's defense, he immediately protested this. He was upset. He talks about, if you play the long video, you'll see that he's sitting there going off on his guys. And this reminds me of a comment that Ice-T was talking about. He said, when you sort of like hire your homeboys from the neighborhood to sort of like be your security, it's like they don't bring a lot to the table. So what their only thing that they know to do to basically bring something is to rah and do something physical, and it's kind of a dangerous situation. It's can cause those type of problems. So this is basically what happened in this incident.
When you bring your goons and don't want to pay, being cheap, don't want to pay for real security, you better put some money in the legal retainer for your lawyer, because this is going to happen, man. This is egregious, man. This is brutal, man. Like, first they blindsided him. My man is defenseless, and they two-timed him. He's knocked out on his feet, and they still pursued him, man. I would sue everything and everybody. Everything associated with that event will get sued.
You got something to say about this, First Lady?
That's crazy.
It just seems like you give a person a title and they go overboard with it. And that's what I see from this incident. Like, they got their little title and they went overboard, and unfortunately it's going to cost them. It's bad.
And interesting enough, we know from our gut they wouldn't be so gung-ho, so enthusiastic to fight if that were Suge Knight or some other characters. They would be a little more tentative, a little more hesitant, a little more thinking, about the situation. Yeah.
Right.
You got something to say about this, El Pooh?
Yeah. The old saying goes, you can take the homie out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the homeboy.
Yeah.
And another thing about the Suge Knight thing is he brought his homeboys around and everything, and that was his downfall. That's how Pac got killed. His homeboys running, talking about there go that dude over there that did this, such and such and such, and then Pac wanted to get involved in everything. So, listen, keep the hood in the hood.
And you know what? That's a good point. We're going to circle back to that when we talk about standing on Bitness. But what else do we have in the news?
I have a quick political point about that. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Bumpy Johnson did ask or inquire Malcolm X, did he need some protection at a certain vulnerable moment in his life when he was out the nation. So I don't know. I'm not so sure about leaving the hood in the hood, because I think Malcolm should have took that protection.
Yeah.
Oh, no, what I'm saying is, when you're in the music business, don't bring your hood homeboys along for the ride, because they're gonna still be in the hood, even though they over here, and that's what I'm saying.
Because there's a certain way you have to roll. You got to know, it's just not enough to try to defend a person. You got to know how to defend yourself and not expose yourself, because they may call themselves defending them, but they expose them to way much more harm, as you brought up. The legal ramifications of this. He immediately gave his phone number to that dude's mother, and he's been reaching out to them, and I'm sure he's trying to do what he's doing, and he's probably maybe doing it from a sincere place, but that won't necessarily stop them from legal further pursuits. So there's fallout.
Unfortunately, he's still liable. So, you know,
yeah. After a fashion, it's there is a thing about when someone goes out of the scope of what they do for you, where there is some type of finagling. I mean, I'm just saying it's not as cut and dried, but yes, there's going to be some exposure there, and he's definitely going to at least be brought into it. Whether he gets held to it, we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah. Well, the lesson learned is get professional security. Straight up.
You get what you pay for. Word.
Exactly.
What's next up in the news? Next of kin, Jacksonville, Mississippi. You want to speak on this?
No, just Jackson, Mississippi.
Jackson, sorry, I keep saying that. Jackson, Mississippi.
Trying to separate Jackson, Mississippi from Memphis.
I'm sure. So Jackson, Mississippi adopts next of kin notification policy after people were buried without families knowing. These guidelines are common in America, as we all know, under the law enforcement, but Jackson did not have a policy until recently after a mother shared her story of her son getting run over by a police car and being buried in a pauper's grave without her knowing. So, the mother of Dexter Wade, 37-year-old, she reported her son missing back in March, and her son had already been killed when she reported him missing. They did not notify her until August. And when she was notified, her son was already buried in what's called the pauper's grave. And apparently Jackson is known for not notifying the next of kin, even when homicides take place. They don't notify the family and just bury them. And this story was really disturbing to me because her son was killed by an off-duty police officer. And so it's like, did they not tell her on purpose because who had done it? That was a question mark that I had in my head. And, pauper's grave is like you just throwing somebody's body up in the field, possibly on top of other bodies. It's like John Doe's and Jane Doe's. These are unknown people. And, this is someone's loved one, and to treat them like that is unfair. Now, she really went to the police and reported her son missing in March, and they didn't tell this mother until August that her son was already buried.
And they knew who it was. They knew who was killed. They had the information, and she kept asking, hey, any news about my son? And they're like, nothing to report. I mean, this is an egregious abuse of just opportunity, what they were able to do and just bury the situation. It screams like they were just covering it up because it happened with involving one of their own. But the fact that Jackson, Mississippi was not even notifying people, I mean, that just seems like super backwards and crazy. But hey, that's where that's at. What you got to say about this, Brother Omar?
I mean, everything you said, I mean, it's terrible. I think it should be put in the context of police abuse, police murder, and harassment of Black people. That's a majority Black city, Jackson, Mississippi. Some of the links or references talked about, like, this happens so many times in the year. Like, this is not the only case. I think this is the only case involving a police officer directly, which, speaks or looks like a cover-up, clearly. I mean, 5 days, and she filed the missing report. I mean, it's I think we need to. What's up with Chokwe Lumumba, the Black mayor down there that came into office behind his daddy, who was progressive. I don't know what they're doing down there, but that needs to be addressed with a vengeance, and some heads need to go rolling, and some policies need to be made immediately.
Well, they did change it. So this is now they've changed it behind this, but I mean there should be some heads rolling as well. I mean, it's the too many people had the means to know exactly what was going on, and you knew what this lady was seeking, and you knew
some compensations.
Yeah. What you got to say about this, Elpu?
Well, we still live in America with the triple K. This is Mississippi. Mississippi has a history of this type of stuff, throughout America's history. And sadly, all I can say is this. Well,
here's what they think about you.
Exactly. They don't care.
Yeah. That's what that is. So that's all we're gonna say about that. Mr. Floyd X, you still working on behind the scenes, but
What's up, brother? What's up?
I said you got something to say. You want to say about this Jackson, Mississippi situation?
I think y'all said it all. We all know that stuff is still injustice in America for black folks, particularly, and to be buried in a poplar field, the disrespect. And just that I didn't know the fact that the first lady talked about that they knew that he was dead already, and they just was trying to withhold the information to see how they could hide or cover it up till they couldn't no more. That's disrespectful, man.
For months.
Crazy.
And I'm sure it's not just Mississippi; it's in other. I mean, not just in Jackson, other cities too.
Yep.
Yeah, like I said, America with the triple K is still here. You know.
Yeah.
And that's probably a transition. Actually, maybe not. What's our next in the news topic?
Just more criminal activity from the U.S. government. You know, it's just another criminal activity, another cover up. Nothing new here. Nothing new to see here.
This cat lied about everything. He lied about on his resume. Then he got up there and just lied. And not only that, one of his fellow congressmen accuses him of stealing his credit card and his mama's credit card to basically make fund, illegal donations and whatnot. So you're talking about he was doing scams before he got elected, and then he was still, keeping the scams going as he was elected. They were playing around with ousting this guy for a while, but they just had to do something about it. Hopefully, Marjorie, whatever Taylor's next.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Excuse me. Okay. Now I like to read a book about George Santos if he ever comes out with if there's a biography about him, because I'm kind of impressed with he's a classic to me. He's a classic con artist, scam artist, and I'm kind of impressed not only with them but the parallels with those type of people and just financial scam artists, crypto people, and pastors, and all these religious folk. I see a lot of parallels between them and George Santos, but I'm highly impressed how you can just fabricate these stories, these lies, and authenticate it. There was a movie with I think Leonardo,
the talented Mr. Ripley.
No, Catch Me If You Can.
Yes, Catch Me If You Can. I mean, before you can authenticate and document stuff, I mean, a lot of these people were, to do it today, it takes a lot of cyber finesse, but I was really impressed by that guy to live those lifestyles, fabricate those licenses. It takes a level of intelligence, though,
Yeah. We all know that there's a certain con man that's been really getting away with stuff for way too long, and if we're not careful, this guy may be the president again. But that's where
I thought you were talking about Farrakhan. Okay.
Oh, ouch. Uh-oh.
Wait. Hold on. Let me clear the screen. Clearing the screen. What did you say, brother? What did you say?
We can talk about. I mean, I see some parallels between preachers and George Santos. I just generalize it like that. But we can have that on another show.
No, we gotta have it now. Okay. You started it. We gotta have it now, brother.
With it. Yeah.
Now, you saying that Mr. Farrakhan is a con artist, brother?
Well, we can definitely say that his adoption and sale of was it Dianetics? Not Dianetics, but the Scientology, the techniques of Scientology. That's definitely a scam.
No. How are you scamming people if you see a white man has a tool that is used to help people? People have claimed to have been helped from Dianetics, and he be like, "Man, this would be good for my people," and he incorporates it into his teachings. How is that a scam, brother? He ain't saying go spend $1 million with Dianetics. He's like, hey, if you can see you getting help from this, go get it. It helps. How's that a scam, brother?
It doesn't help. There's no scientific, reliable data, no experimentation. Let me just say there's no data, there's no studies that show that Dianetics as a method is helpful or useful. And there's a lot of evidence showing that it's harmful. Remember, Scientology, this is a religion.
No, if you're going to speak on that, hold on, slow down. If
Okay,
you're gonna
okay.
say that there's evidence that shows that it's harmful, you're gonna have to produce that, because all I'm talking about is claims from people who said they've done it. And I know when I was in the nation, we had ministers who went and on their own. The ministers in Washington, D.C. was one of the people that brought it to Minister Farrakhan's attention. He was like, look, I was going through this situation. I tried Dianetics, and he suggested it to Minister Louis Farrakhan. And that's when Farrakhan, like, he looked into it, and they saw that, okay, it's helpful, let's bring it. And he brought it to the nation. He didn't sit there and require anybody to do anything, to give money or nothing to Dianetics. I mean, you got to be careful when you say stuff like that, brother.
No, I'm saying my main argument here, Dianetics is a pseudoscience. It's a pseudoscience.
Okay.
And it's not a scientific method.
Okay.
So you're promoting pseudoscience to get, you might as well do astrology. It's no different from astrology, tarot readings, or anything like that. That's all I'm saying. And there is no evidence to show that it has, there's no demonstrable evidence of its efficacy. Like, what is this even supposed? I mean,
the goal is to get people to get better.
I don't have the advertisements in front of me, but to get better, that's a general term. But I'm saying, what is it supposed to do medically? Like, they can't even claim it as a medical treatment.
That's the problem. That's the problem.
It's not a medical treatment.
You're trying to put it on a medical platform. If I sit here and say something positive to you, and then you say, man, I feel better. Thank you, brother. Ain't no science to that shit. Ain't no scientific study that could prove, oh, Floyd is a genius because he gave brother Clayton Bigsby a positive word.
First of all, let me again. Science is science. Just because someone says that they had a reaction to this or whatever, science is investigating what actually is the correlation, because there's the thing called placebos. There's all type of things. So that's really not a here nor there. I'm not yielding to you or to him as far as the victor of that. We've probably gone too far in it, but you got to understand that just because someone says I did this and this worked for me, that's not science. That's just them basically saying. Go ahead.
Can I give a quick example of what you're saying, nice guy? If I take some medicine and then I pray to God and my headache goes away, I've confounded the variables. So they haven't set up scientific studies to find out what is the causal factor of someone feeling better. You have to set up a controlled experiment. But since it's not a science, no controlled experiment has been set up. It is a pseudoscience,
brother. We're not talking science. You're talking science.
I can't listen in. What are you talking about? Because you're talking about a medical treatment.
No, you got a criticism of somebody that brought something in to help his followers. That's all he did. He brought a tool in. He didn't say he's bringing. Listen. He didn't say I'm bringing in a scientifically proven tool that helps heal people. He said this worked. I got all these people who coming to me saying it worked for them. So let's see if it worked. And he tried it. It works for people. That's all that matters.
Not quite true. Those methods. There's an A word for it too that they've been. It's part of the Dianetics, but that specific auditing. It's called auditing. Yeah. So they present it and have presented it as a medical tool. As for example, Rizza Islam has who's being sued, who's facing criminal charges.
He's been cleared of all charges.
Okay, I don't know what I don't. Okay, I don't know how that. He was maybe cleared on the technicality, but I know what he did do.
Come on, brother. Okay, stop.
Wait a second. Let me rein it. The reason why I need to rein it in is because you got to understand that Mr. Floyd X, although he's no longer a member of the Nation of Islam, it's a very near and dear subject to him, so he's going to be extra touchy to him. And in fairness to
Clarence 13X.
In all fairness to Omar, he is a scientist, rationalist type person. These same things that will rub you funny. If we were talking about religious stuff with me, we'd be having the same thing. So I'm just saying that let's not overtake the show with that. We do support Farrakhan on this show. We don't necessarily all buy into everything that he says. He's a man. But the bottom line is he's a man that a lot of us have a lot of respect for, and I'm sure that even Omar has respect for. But when you're talking about these people's beliefs, I mean, if we're not practicing what they believe in, obviously we don't believe what they believe, and that's okay. So now we go on to we spoke about Mr. Santos. Let's speak about the next person.
I got more to say about Mr. Santos. He just took me down the wrong path.
Okay,
I got more to say. So let's get back to Mr. Santos.
Hey, but I will say this: we will have this discussion about who killed Malcolm X, and he'll really be upset. But go ahead.
Let me fix my screen real quick. Come on, we're gonna. I'm just playing. Look, we're gonna have that discussion. I agree. But I want to say about Mr. Santos. He was a 23 count superseding indictment was filed on October. What month was that? October 27th in the federal court. So this dude is a straight criminal. It's amazing how he was able to sit in that spot for as long as he did. And everybody that knew about it just knew about it. They just sat and said, what do the people think? You know what I'm saying? So when these criminals, it's the same thing with Trump. When these criminals come in office, they sit there and do their thing, but they ain't gonna get moved unless the people are moved or unless a stronger power comes and move them. Because they'll just sit there and hold those positions. So, I mean,
that's what's up. That's the reality of it. You said he's got how many counts? How many
23.
counts Trump has? Exactly. How many counts does Trump have?
I remember 90, we had a
90 something.
It's in the 90s, exactly. Yeah. So he's stomping to the 90s. That's what's going on with Trump. So it's crazy.
But it's two things they got in common. They're both being accused, but they haven't been convicted. Now, Santos is only the 6th member of Congress that's been booted out ever. And he's not even convicted yet. But you know what? Matt Gaetz has some stuff to answer to, too. So he might be next.
Man.
All right. So now I believe we're going to be talking about Brother Jayland Walker. Or just, sorry, Jayland. Yeah, Jayland. Hey, I said it right correctly. What you have for that for us, Mr. Floyd X?
Jayland Walker, he was killed by the police in June 27th of 2022 after pursuing him in a car that had been involved in a crime. After refusing to stop, the neighborhood shooting officer Walker jumped out of the car in the motion, barricaded, and fled the scene on foot. Although he did not have a gun with him as he ran, Milet said, I guess that's the police officer, the video showed Walker reached for something in his waist, turned and ran and prompted police to fire. But the police said they fired up to 60 bullets at Walker after he jumped out of the moving vehicle. So what happened today was, or not today, but earlier this week, the Akron police officers are cleared of all charges in connection with the fatal shooting of Jayland Walker. So, I mean, that's why we just titled it No Justice for Jayland Walker, because it's nothing new in America. Just another police shooting where all the police get to go home to their families and kiss their babies while this woman's baby is going to be sitting in the grave. Nothing new.
And he had no weapon. He was running away. And he got shot over 60 times. He got hit over 60 times. Just think about that.
Man.
And according to news reports, he did have over 60 gunshot wounds. Is there such thing as overkill?
Yes.
That would be that.
Man. First Lady?
You said it all when you said nothing new. That's all that needs to be said. You know.
Nothing new.
Crazy.
Nothing new. I think too. When I first heard this story, it sounded very similar to a story that happened maybe a month or 2 months ago with a young sister, mother of 3, who was stealing things outside of, or supposedly accused of stealing things outside the dollar store. Police approached her on the side, shot her, and killed her, and claimed that the car was being used against him or something. It was a situation where you didn't even have to take out your gun. She was on video, the license on video. And again, I think the big idea here is to defund the police. You know, so much of the general city fund is put into police work, to police. And I think one of the greatest lines Cube ever said was, the job of the police is to serve, protect, and break a nigga's neck. And, you know, we need to defund that. And there are other ways to protect the community besides, you know, policing, to make the community safe. I mean, starting with reducing poverty and putting more money into social services and upgrading schools and things like that make the community safe, not this racist policing.
Yeah, I guess you're right about that, because Trump has an idea. Yeah, defund the police and bring the military in, huh?
No.
Ouch.
That's militarizing the police. But and I will say that, you know, I was a part of an organization, Malcolm X Grassroots Movement, that initiated the first nationwide analysis of police killings, and concluded that police kill a black person, a police or a white vigilante or a white security officer kills a black person, you know, be it woman, child, male, with the frequency of every 28 hours. And we're not in that study that prison, what happens behind the walls, was not included, but that frequency, that rate is higher than the rate of lynching. So it's something that, you know, to juxtapose, you know, that we have this urban police lynching. We don't have the same outcry as we have with the lynching, but they're pretty much the same thing. I mean, they end up with the same conclusion.
And we wonder why our population is so low.
We've missed out on generations of contribution to humanity as far as, you know, population. So that's a big difference. You know, you look at these maps in a flat map, and you see how big China looks, and you see how big Russia looks, and you see how Africa looks. Then you get an actual globe, and you realize how small these things can fit in like Africa and stuff like that. So you know, if we didn't have centuries of genocide that we're dealing with, I mean, our world population would be looking very different than now. So that's just the reality. But I don't know if now we're gonna just do like a quick shout out, or we're gonna go straight to the topics with you, because we're pushing kind of late here. We allowed you guys interpersonal thing to get too far.
Let me shoot. What y'all? Let's go to the commercial break, man, and give everybody a minute. Give myself a minute to bring it down.
Put you on timeout.
I need a minute. I need a minute because I'm still steaming, but for Mr. Omar. But that's what I like about Mr. Omar. Like I say, he pushes it, and he comes with an interesting perspective. I still got respect for him, and ain't no anger here. Ain't no I'm gonna handle him, or no BS like that. I got much love for Mr. Omar, but. Let's go to go ahead, First Lady.
He has you representing that sign behind you, feeling crabby.
First Lady, come on, First Lady. Okay, let's run these old commercials.
Go be alive.
I just want to say that all those businesses that we played are black owned. Support black owned business. Every last one of them. Go be alive. You say, Mr. Nice Guy?
GoBeAlive.org. Go get you that black honey.
That black honey. And then you get with Brother Muhammad's Meats. He's out in Oakland doing his thing. I gotta get the address. I look at his posts all through the week, but I never compile it so I could put it on the show and show what that brother's doing. But he's doing a lot. He's out there in Oakland. He got a station. He's putting it down. And then the Crowder's Market, the Crowder's Neighborhood Market is the African market is open today here in Sacramento. Forget all this rain. Just bypass the rain. Go to the first Saturday African market. Support all those Black-owned vendors that's putting it down, selling Black-made products and all the other things they got going on. Shout out to the African market. Shout out to brother Nasir Muhammad and the Nubian Beauty Supply. That brother got a Black beauty supply store where sisters could go get the things that they need for their hair.
But and also, I want to say a quick shout out to Sex Talk with Walk on Thursdays at 9 p.m. And also spin that back 10:30 a.m. on Saturdays, so 30 minutes after this show. So remember, Sex Talk with Walk and spin that back.
That's right. The Focus Up Network is growing. We continue to press on. We got some soldiers in here that we don't keep moving, keep doing. Successful show to spin that back. What a great show. You're talking old school hip hop. El Pooh, what's that topic that you got for him today, brother?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about hip hop record labels, their names, and if that has anything to do with their downfall. And we'll get into it when we get into it.
Oh my God.
And also, shout out to Omar. You got your podcast thing, so that you I don't know if you're running.
Oh yeah, I'm still working on it. But it's called Afro-Gnostics. Afro-Gnostics. It is a podcast where we challenge popular myths, superstitious, and supernatural beliefs and practices in the Black community.
There you go. So that's what's up. So now let's get into the get. We're gonna talk about standing on Bitness.
Oh man,
what you got for us, Mr. Floyd X?
Did I even put this brother's picture up? I think I was hesitant to put his picture up because T.I. going around Atlanta talking about don't use my son and my likeness, me and mine. Don't use me and mine around here. Yeah. Nobody getting no beer sold, no tickets being sold, no money unless it comes through me. Come on,
King of Atlanta.
King of Atlanta. That's right.
Yeah.
He's standing on business. Oh, I also wanted to do this. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
If you know, you know.
Is that it though? Is that really how you do it?
That's me. I'm going crazy over here. Let me slow down. I'm hitting all kinds of buttons. I don't know if that's really how you do it. All I know is the football player DK Metcalf, when he scored a touchdown, he did that. He did. I'm trying to mimic us. They said they was standing on.
And the commentator said it. She was like, "Yeah, that's street slang for you're serious about what you're doing." Yeah,
that's right. Man. Okay.
So let's get to the particulars. What happened? What went down?
Oh, all right. Here we go. So we got King. He's always on Instagram doing this thing, talking this stuff and things like that. So they just happened to be in Atlanta versus the Saints game last week in Atlanta. They were at the game, probably in their booth or their box or whatever. And he was talking, they said it started out as just banter between family. It was like other family members and security guards that was joking with him, clowning him. And he started getting a little more serious. And he's like, I stand on business. I stand on business. And, going to the back and forth. So what we wanted to address was, first of all, the disrespect towards his parents, how you could sit there and have a back and forth with your parents in public and be recording it live, knowing you live. And then the second part is you being in a privy situation, but wanting to be in a impoverished situation. Then we try to, we're going to take a deep dive and analyze it and speak about it, give our opinion on it as a young man who had a father. And let me say, this is the last point I want to say. T.I., he did an interview and he said something very powerful to me. He said, the dude asked him, do you see yourself in King? He was like, yeah, absolutely. I see myself in him. But he had something I didn't have. He got me and his mother. I was like, damn, he got me and his mother. And we, you know, and he didn't go elaborate on it. Was a clip, so I didn't see whatever else he said. But to me, that was powerful enough. Because when you got your mother and your father holding it down, regardless of their differences, come on, man. You can't be out here doing no dumb stuff. You can't be out here talking about I stayed by my grandma's house because I wanted to be in the hood. I didn't want to be in the gated community. I didn't want the silver spoon in my mouth. Come on, dude. You're being dumb.
You know, I'm gonna just put up this one comment. This comment should really be probably saved for spin that back. But this when you talk about speaking in hip hop, Tony Boyd, how has it helped Black communities? You know, this is a situation where it's like his whole association with the hood is sort of like a deriving out of culture that he didn't necessarily grow up in because he did grow up in that gated community. I'm not saying he didn't get exposed to stuff. I'm not saying he doesn't have friends, but it's like this romanticizing of this lifestyle that's been counterproductive to us for a very long time. This kind of reminds me of the Tupac situation. You know, I'm never gonna say that Tupac was phony. You know, in my opinion, I think he was a writer. I think he believed in what he believed in, but he was a person that was a Johnny come lately on sort of like gangbanging scene. He was a civilian that got caught up in some gangbanging stuff and ended up dying behind it. And the reality is, look, you got to go forward. You're a rich person. You don't need to go that way. Now you need to adjust it up and go in a different lane. So that's the one thing. Then as far as the going back and forth with your child, that's why I can't watch white people when I can't watch movies that have white people in it that have kids and adults. They either got to just be white adults or white kids because I can't stand the way the white kids talk to white adult parents. It just makes me go crazy. But you know, I'm getting upset now. I'm trying not to think about what has somebody else got to say about it.
I get that, brother. I get that. What you guys say?
I'm in a white, well, no, 50% white district right now. I don't want to say where, but I did notice right away. I can only frame it this way, and it may be a better way to frame it. Like the Black kids generally still have the fear of their parents in them, but the white kids don't have any fear. It seems like they don't have the same level of fear or concern. But this issue, I don't know. Like I'm looking at it. You remember that movie, the Malibu movie with the white boy?
Oh yeah.
Boy, what was
Malibu's
the name
Most
of
Wanted.
it? What was it?
Malibu's Most Wanted.
Yeah. I just see something similar in terms of the class dynamic because Ray Lewis, you know, his son who committed suicide, I think last year, if you saw what he was putting out, he was walking and talking about it with the Draco in the streets. And, you know, Michael Irvin recently talked about his son on the, what's that sports show? Like, he don't even know who his son, like, my son grew up with a silver spoon in the gated community, but his name is some mafia type of name, and he's taking on all these mafioso street, you know, this fake persona, this studio street gangster type of dude. So I think King is a part of that. Those Black celebrities, there's this class difference, but there's this still not too far from the streets. I have a lot of questions. It's an interesting phenomenon. I don't really have any answers or anything, but
you got something to say about this, First Lady?
You know, looking at that video, I read so much out of that video. There's an old saying that money can't buy you happiness. Happiness is a choice. So even with born with a silver spoon, sometimes as children want to be children. So even if he want to play that little hardcore life or whatnot, that might be his choice of happiness. You know, he feel like, you know, we always talk about the videos in the rap industry and what these kids see and want to mimic and stuff. That could be him. The video was disturbing enough. Yes, he was wrong recording and they were joking and stuff. But when I saw that video, I saw parents and children being kind of foul, even with teasing. I feel like his mom handsed it up by talking about sucking a pacifier to the age of 12 years old. And I think that's what really triggered him. It didn't give him a right to be disrespectful to his parents, but his dad also let him know who's still the parent as well, which was a good point to me. But I kind of saw like, you guys calling your kid nigga, my nigga. That was all on the video. So he wants to be about that life too, you know. With
and
niggas. So
yeah,
it
and
was
I agree.
kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
conflicting. So it was disturbing, but still, money does not always buy happiness for people. So just because you gave him a silver spoon in the mouth or whatnot, he probably was not. I'm sure he wasn't the regular kid that kids tend to be. So if he lived with his grandma or whomever he lived with, he wanted to be like the other kids in the neighborhood, regardless of the monetary situation of things.
And I agree. And T.I. and Tiny, they haven't been the best examples of, they've been felonious well into their 30s. And I think more recently they had a case, but they made it disappear or something like that. So they're not, you can't totally exonerate them as parents as if they provided a total different alternative lifestyle to King, because they've been involved in a lot of felonious stuff as well.
I was just saying, so it's not about it's not a fact that they're providing them with money, but also, providing them with the proper encouragement. Again, we're not going to be sitting there. I'm pretty sure none of us are really trying to take down, T.I. or Tiny or anything like that.
It sounds like Omar is.
No, I don't know. I think that what he's saying,
what it sounds like to me.
It sounds like he's being honest and saying that environment is probably not the most environment that would inspiring a behavior, because again, they're okay in this stuff. I mean, first of all, putting it on TV is one thing, then having them play it all up. I mean, they are creating this environment for it. It's sort of like the Black Kardashians over there, but
yeah, and it's not about T.I. per se. It's just about these Black celebrities that have made money, like as someone said, romanticizing, glorizing this lifestyle, this trap. You got the Trap Museum, and don't ever go to the Trap Museum. It's a glorification of selling crack. There's no analysis or education, insight to it. It's all a celebration and a glorification of selling crack and all the other things, immoral and illegal things that come with that. So I think this also is a little case of the chickens coming back home to roost in a sense, in a way.
Yeah, can I say one thing?
Go ahead.
I was born and raised in the hood. When I realized I was in the hood, my goal was to get out of the hood. And when I get out of the hood, I ain't coming back to the hood. Now, here's the problem that I have with T.I. You got records, you talking about the hood and the hood life and everything. You think that's not going to rub off on your child? Even though he had this lavish lifestyle, he's listening to you. You are his biggest influencer. So maybe that's where he got it from.
That's
point,
true.
Exactly, one of my points. And Apple, I just have a question. Since you're from the hood and grew up in the hood, did you have roaches crawling on your face or in your ear?
I don't know. I was probably so used to it, I probably didn't even pay attention to it. I don't know.
Now I want to say I actually did.
I had some roaches that I was friends with, though.
Well, just saying, because everybody live in the hood and probably don't have roaches crawling on their face and in their ears.
Now, when Tiny said that resonated with me, because I actually did grow up like that. So I was like, that's some realness in that.
I've known some people that I've talked person on the phone or a situation where someone's close to them, and one of the people over there basically had a reaction to that very thing happening. But yeah, knock on wood, that that ain't never happened to me. But hey, bugs can get you when you sleep.
I got a funny story to tell about waking up with roaches. I was sleeping the dead of the night. This was in Florida, and I felt something on my chest. I did like this. I woke up, all I found was some roach legs. I couldn't find the body. That's a true story. True story.
Ouch.
You killed them.
Yeah, I know I killed them. Yep.
Yeah, well, what'd you do with the rest of them, though? That's a concern.
I couldn't find it. I don't know where it was. But I mean, as far as being the disrespectful, I know Mr. Omar was saying as far as T.I. may have had played a part in it. All I know, or from what I've seen, is that they provided for these young people, even on the show. That could be just for show on the show they had. But you provide, able to send them to the best school, live in a gated community, ain't got to go outside and see criminals and heroin addicts and things of that nature, I think you're doing a great job. You just got to provide those extras, like when you speak on the Trap Museum. Okay, the Trap Museum is a start. But if he has some wise men in his ears, like for you, Mr. Omar, to say, look, man, you got to have the other side of the story, the getting out of it. Because it's one thing to glorify the drug dealing and the trap, whatever the trap and all that stuff is, but you need that other side. He probably ain't got those people. He need wise black men like yourself and like me or whoever anybody else who feels qualified to go and participate and help build that up. It's a start. So, I mean, when we look at it, we can't criticize it. Let's help build it up. But at the same time, back to the son being disrespectful to the parents and stuff, there is a point where you cannot be sitting there clowning your children in front of people. I wouldn't do that. I'm not going to talk about my son like First Lady said, a pacifier and your teeth poking out your face. I'm not going to clown my children in front of anybody. You know what I'm saying?
On camera. That was a violation. That was a violation. To do it in front of people was bad enough. To do it in front of everybody was worse.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one thing that has to be looked at to all the parents out there. Don't embarrass your children in front of other people. Let your children be, and let your children, even if they talking ignorant, you respectfully pull them aside or you handle that, but don't embarrass them.
On them. No, if they be disrespectful in public, you deal with them in public. No, I disagree with that. You want to we can do all that, but yeah, if the kid disrespectful in public, fire off on that little mother effer. That's what I'm saying. Don't tolerate. We don't negotiate with terrorists when it comes to kids.
Hey, I agree with that point. I agree with that one. But hey, that's what it is, man. Don't be disrespectful to each other, basically, or truthfully.
Amen.
But he was like, when he kept saying I stand on business and everybody clowning him, and you been sucking the pacifier till you was 12 years old. That's really hurtful to your life. Because now everybody gonna say that. Anytime you start talking or popping off at the mouth, nigga, shut up. You've been sucking pacifier since he ain't gonna never live that down ever.
Yeah, that was a violation. That was a violation.
Ever.
So it was King who had the video, right? He was recording, right? That's why
he was recording.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, so he put it out there. What you're saying?
I think it was alive.
Yeah, it was live.
You put it out there, but
live.
And when you hit that live button, you don't know what's gonna happen. And you shouldn't. Oh.
You're inviting people into your business. How y'all say business?
Business.
You can't take it back. You can't take it back. It's done done.
So, yeah. I saw failure on both ends, child and parents.
Yeah, I agree. But Mr. Tony Boy said a mother emasculating her son on media. Drama sells. Yeah, you can't do that. You can't do that, man. Let's go.
Yeah, you can't do that. But in the context that they were saying, they're just like, look, don't be sitting there. You can't front to tell us how tough guy you was, and we have the full context of where you were. The reality is you've been on the show. They can see you as a kid on the show, not being, all rah. And I understand that everybody starts off young. Everybody starts off a kid. Everybody maybe starts off a Barney and ends up where they end up. But, I mean, it's just one of those type of situations where you can't pull that off on your parent. Your parent know better.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, I'm not going to try to bash T.I. I got a lot of respect for that dude. I'm not a big fan of the reality TV thing because I think it's just, they're not going to put – you're not going to find very uplifting stories on reality TV. The reality TV is the basic. It's supposed to be a train wreck, and I don't want to see a black train wreck.
Word. Okay. All right. Mr. El Poo, you got anything else to say?